Berry, hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT, handing out smackdowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by TagMeADate. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here, no safe space. Now listen in, time to hear from some of the greats.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the War Report podcast brought to you by TagMeADate.com. That doesn't really exist anymore, but it will soon enough. We'll bring you up to date as talks continue and we try to build things back together. But welcome to the War Report. Vince and Eric and Steve with you. Opening with a little Bray Wyatt, because why the fuck not? It's Bray Wyatt, and he did finally get back in the ring in Madison Square Garden at a house show, and apparently did a nice little tribute to Brody Lee and did a great job. And of course, who jobbed out? Jinder Mahal.
He hindered Jinder.
But everybody, welcome. Vinny Mac, what's up, brother?
Yeah, not much, man. How's it going? How are you doing today?
You know, I'm doing. I did a little thing this afternoon that we're going to stay on, all three of us, a little afterwards, just for a minute. I want to go over something with you guys, but could be something cool for the future for the War Report. So I don't know. It's something we got to talk out, but I digress. We talk about changes, right? We talk about things that Triple H has done since he has come back, and overall, he's done a phenomenal job turning the ship in the right sail. Is it me? Am I wrong? But I don't recall the superstars getting the Monday after Christmas off and just doing a 2022 recap, kind of thing, which I got to say was actually very entertaining. And I kind of like the way they did it, and I'll explain why. But am I wrong? I don't remember Vince ever giving them that amount of time off and saying, you know what, we're not going to do Raw, we're going to do a package.
Well, they 1 year they did a Christmas thing where like Alberto Del Rio ran over Santa with a car, but it was pre-taped, like it was taped on like a Tuesday or something, and then SmackDown went up on a Friday. So like I think they would do that sometimes, where if Christmas was coming up, they would like pre-tape a show.
And that's when John Cena went, "For Santa!"
Yeah, they had that whole rousing "For Santa."
Yeah, but I feel like unless it was like a catastrophic like weather incident or something, like Raw's never been not live since they went live. And hold on, by the way, Eric, hang on one quick second. I just want to, I'm going to just go ahead on a limb and say this is Tara. Hey guys, before we get things rolling, can I give a birthday shout out to my niece, Olivia? Olivia, happy birthday from everyone.
Happy birthday, Olivia. And it was Terry, yes. I was just checking the comments on my phone.
All
right, great. So Eric, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What you're saying actually answers my question, because I questioned the group before because I didn't get a chance to watch Raw. Something fucked up with my cable. So I guess that answered my question. Did anything notable happen on Raw? It wasn't really a Raw, I guess.
Well, here's what I will say. From Tara, happy 14th birthday, Olivia. I love you. Again, from Tara to Olivia, happy birthday. I gotta say, I mean, listen, I'm a little disappointed that it wasn't an actual Raw, right? But I will say the way they did it, it was cool because you had the Street Profits open it up with, it was a promo, but it was like a like they come on the screen and they're in this white tunnel and they're saying, well, this is the address of where the arena is supposed to be, but it's not the arena. They go into a whole shtick and then they use their imagination, and then wrestling comes, and then it gets forwarded over to Corey Graves and some new host. I don't know who she is. She did a great job. I don't even remember her name. But they kind of took you through what they felt were the biggest highlights of 2022. And then they had some people via Zoom or some shit calling into the show. For example, they had Sheamus, they had Sami Zayn, which I'll get into that. And they had Liv Morgan, Drew McIntyre, and then Cody Rhodes. Which, to be honest, I mean, Cody was cool, but I really didn't want to see or hear his name until the Rumble. But that's just me. But I guess they had to, because he was one of the big moments, right? It was when he had the Hell in the Cell with Rollins with the torn pec. So of course, that was in there, but it was well done. It was well put together. Sami Zayn narrates the rise of the bloodline.
Oh.
So you already know that's great. So I would suggest going to YouTube and just type in Sami Zayn bloodline Christmas rundown or some shit, and you'll see it. It's worth watching because it's Sami Zayn. But it was very well done. I enjoyed it. I agreed with a lot of the highlight moments. They also highlighted all the people that Triple H has brought back since Vince has left. So yeah, I mean, they did some cool shit.
Hey, those little bottom line, as long as it's entertaining,
I mean, my son and I, we sat and we watched the whole thing. I didn't fast forward anything.
Oh, wow.
More so because he's just starting to get back into it now. So he's asking questions and he's learning.
Yeah, I know he's had a lull for a few years, but
quite a few years, man. But he says to me yesterday, he says, "You know what today is?" And I said, "Yeah, it's Monday." He goes, "Right, it's the best day of the week." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "You know." And I was like,
"Hey!"
And I was like,
"Wow,
yeah, I do. Yeah,
that's great."
It touches me, man. Like that was our thing when he was real young. Like that was our thing. He was all fucking into it.
Yeah, because I was at your house a bunch of times when he was growing up, and it was like, I remember this one time. It was the pay-per-view when Christian finally won the world title.
Yeah,
against Del Rio in that ladder match, right?
Yeah.
And then we hear this little like thing from the back after, it was like before the match started, but it was the Del Rio's entrance, and all of a sudden we hear this little 2-year-old voice going, "Del Rio!"
He couldn't get enough of it. He was just all about it. And then I remember I even took him to a live event. My wife and I, we took him, and we were off to the side, but CM Punk was champion at the time, and he closed out the show. And, they got to send everyone home happy. So his music's looping like a million times over, and he's shaking hands and taking pictures or whatever. And he comes walking through our way. And I look at Stacy, my wife, and I go, "Holy shit, he's coming this way." And sure as shit, he walks right by us. He stops. He looks at my son, rubs him on the head. Derek got to slap the belt, and he kept walking. Like, it was just really cool.
That's cool.
And then one day he was just like, "I don't like it anymore." And that was it. And then he just thought it was stupid. Let's be honest, the COVID era didn't help.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
So,
and one more thing, I'd like to take credit for 90% of the wrestling figures that he has were from me, from Uncle Eric.
I would say it was damn near 95%. I stopped buying them because you would fucking come like 10, 12 at a time. It's fucking
Except
great.
for the one when I was like, "Is that B. Brian Blair?" Oh my
God. But it was, and it wasn't until Survivor Series, War Games.
Yeah. Well,
like I'm sitting in the living room. My wife was out, like she wasn't even home, so it was like the perfect opportunity. So I'm like, all right, I'll watch it by myself, whatever. So I throw it on, and he just comes out and he sits down, and I'm in my head, I'm like, all right, he's gonna watch like 5 minutes, and then he'll go back playing his video games or whatever.
Right.
He sat there, watched the whole fucking thing, didn't fucking move, didn't say a word, but didn't move. So then at the end, he just gets up and he goes to his room, doesn't say shit to me. So I said, all right.
And you know what? Hopefully one day you can bring him to a WrestleMania, which you've always wanted to do,
Right.
but he was so little back then.
Let's not jump in front of my story here. Hang on.
Yes.
So he, the next day he comes out and he goes, I think I like wrestling again. I said,
Must have been.
do you now? I was like, so you're ready to watch all of it with me? He's like, yeah, baby steps. And I said, all right, you tell me when you're ready. And then the next day he was like, well, when's the next show? And I was like, tonight. He's like, all right, can I watch it with you? I said, yeah, of course. He hasn't missed a fucking show since.
Wow.
Now he tells me
Wow.
he's 100% back in. He's looking forward to it. He's asking me questions now. He's giving me predictions. He's saying, I think this is going to happen. Bro, you have no idea what this is doing to me. So then
look what Triple H has done.
yeah. So I have heard rumors that not obviously this year, but next year is going to be somewhere close enough where I will be able to take Derek to his first WrestleMania. And that's going to be
Philly.
Amazing.
It's Philly.
I believe so.
Philly?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
WrestleMania 40, but we're jumping ahead. That's a year and a half, a little over a year away. So
cheese, steaks, and wrestling.
That's right.
So
Hell
so
yes.
I think he's finally going to be able to experience his
That
WrestleMania,
is awesome.
and I'm looking forward to it. So it's the little things, man. But it's just like now, it's like this is our thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just very cool, and I'm glad to have him back into it. I haven't even shown him AEW yet. I'm like, all right, let me phase him back in slow because AEW is a whole nother can of worms, and he's just relearning all these guys. So I don't know if he's ready for MJF. But yeah, so it's very cool. And so anyway, enough about me. But yeah, so overall, I think it was great, and it was a great show for somebody like Derek who's just getting back into it now, because it gave him the best of the entire year. So now he feels like going into the Royal Rumble. So now he feels like going into the Royal Rumble. He's like,
what a way to get back into it, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's a good idea.
And you know who he's a big fan of?
Bray Wyatt.
He's acknowledged him.
Oh, wow. Damn.
He likes the bloodline. So
okay, that's awesome. I remember he used to do the Randy Orton pose back in the day.
Oh yeah. Cool. He looked at me and he goes, "The bloodline's the shit." And I looked at him and I go, "You've made me the happiest father in the world." He's like, "Don't get stupid on me." He goes, "The data's shit."
Yo, this kid's wild. How old is he?
He's the best. He's 14.
Oh my goodness.
He's 14.
Character. What a character.
Dude,
awesome.
he is the funniest kid you'll ever meet. And his personality is just really coming back out now that they're back at school and this and that.
Oh wow, that's good.
And now with the wrestling, like now we have our thing back, so it's cool. But yeah. So neither of you watched Raw?
No. I had other things going. Day after Christmas, you still got stuff to do. So.
It was a lot. Oh, but Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas,
everybody.
Happy Hanukkah. We
Happy
got
Festivus as well.
The rare time like where Christmas and Hanukkah actually overlap, so it's kind of cool. So we
usually does, but usually it's only like a day or two.
Right. Now this was like
left of Hanukkah. We still had like 4 days left or something.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But, yeah, very cool. Tara, proud papa. Yes, very much
for
so.
Sure.
That's
very much so. And a high honor roll student. So listen, I can't complain.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I sure as fuck wasn't high honor roll, so
no.
Taking after his mother.
English
Neither
Eric was my best grade. Right?
I thought your best subject was lunch.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, that was always a freebie. We would always do extended lunch.
Oh yeah. I loved lunch. I loved high school. High school lunch was great because you could go back. Like when you were little, you didn't go back in middle school lunch or like elementary school lunch, but
You
high
can
school
leave
lunch.
and come back.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
can go get something to eat and come back. You know,
I had a great
it's a
schedule.
lot different now, but
I
Oh,
had a
it's
great
yeah,
schedule
it's
my
completely.
senior year of high school. I had the last 2 periods off, so I would
So
leave
you could
early.
leave, yeah.
It was awesome.
That's
That
the
was
way
the
to do
best
it.
when they because if you had a car, like if you had to be the lucky one to have a good schedule and also have a car to do that. And yeah,
I had
it
a
was
car. I had Steve's
fun.
parents' old car. Remember the Volvo?
Yeah,
Oh my god.
that's right. My parents gave them that car. That car had a lot of fucking miles on it.
Yeah, it did.
A lot of fucking miles. That
Wow.
it was
Shit.
like the car that never fucking died. It was amazing.
But you know, I mean, like it's just memories. Like, and I'm glad that kids are into it, and you know, God knows, Kat and all her kids are into it, so it's great.
Well,
Yeah.
listen. I mean, she's already got one that quite possibly could one day be in the performance center.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
I have
you
no
know,
doubt.
Autumn, I believe wholeheartedly
Absolutely.
would kick some ass over there, and she better just remember the people that put her over.
That's right.
So that we get, you know, backstage fucking access, front row seats. I
Well, doesn't
want it
she want
all.
both of you
If
as
she
her
needs a
manager or
manager, I
something?
got
Yeah,
her
I know,
mouth,
right?
you know,
I need a paycheck. I'll do whatever. Do they need a camera guy? Like, come on, man, help us out here. But no, I think you know, Autumn is really first of all, she's tall for her age. And you know, with the hair and everything, she sticks like she has a look. She automatically, with the way she looks, has something built in that would put her as different from the other
and she's
girls
athletic.
trying out. Right, and
Yeah.
she's playing
She plays
basketball and everything else.
basketball. You know, she's a great student. She has a good head on her shoulders. It's gonna be a home run one day.
Yeah, I absolutely think we're going to be doing a podcast one day. We're going to say, oh, she's got her tryout today. You know, like I can't wait for that day.
We better get the first interview. I don't give a shit what's in her contract. If she ever gets a deal, she's going to put in that shit. Must appear first on the War Report.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Oh boy, that's going to be. We're going to have to tell the lawyers to make sure that's in there.
Jeez, oh my god, yeah. But I think I think it would be so cool to because that's been something that like she's talked about it as a little kid, and now she's a teenager and she's still taught. It's not like somebody who was like, you know, I want to be a Ninja Turtle when I grow up, or I want to be an astronaut. She like, no, I want to be a wrestler, and still wants to be a wrestler. So,
and the ones that say that at a young age,
well, look at Bailey and Sasha Banks.
Bailey, Sasha Banks, The Miz. I mean,
MJF.
the list, all of them. I mean,
John Cena with his little cardboard belt.
Yeah, the Hardys.
Yeah. Oh,
the Young Bucks, the Hardys. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Kat's kids are definitely more like the Hardys because you know they're freaking crashing around in the backyard and shit. You know.
Oh, that's without
Rosie.
question.
Oh, Rosie's a menace too. Like, but they're all menaces. Like, that's the thing. They're all each
awesome.
a menace in their own way. It's so great. Like, I don't think I could live there, but I would love to watch. Like, you know, we got rid of that. Chrisley Knows Best. I would love to see Kat's Family on one of those reality
That's a damn
shows.
show. I've been there for weekends.
Like, I love it. I just couldn't. I don't know. I think I would be a 1 or 2 kid kind of guy. I don't think I could do more than that. So God bless those guys. I can't believe it.
No, the funniest time was when I fell asleep. I ended up falling asleep. I took a nap. Alex goes in to see Kat, and she says, "I think Uncle Eric's dead."
Sound sleeping.
No, honey, he's just sleeping.
All right. So since we are a wrestling podcast, we're gonna go back to some wrestling.
Yes.
So I guess we should really dissect a little bit of SmackDown because there was one specific part of SmackDown that we really got to talk about. The whole night, as usual, was based on the Bloodline. They kicked off the show with a great promo segment and whatnot.
And Sammy was off the hook with that promo too.
He was so heartfelt and so emotional and passionate. And that promo had everything with Sammy. Sammy is just so good. We say it over and over again because it's really, there's no way around it. He's that good. He really is good. You know, on the mic, in the ring, whatever you need him to do, he can do, which is why I so don't want this to end. And I think the beginning of the end is going to take place at SmackDown And
Oh yeah.
we'll go back and we'll talk more about the show, but
You're talking about when with this coming SmackDown with the John Cena thing, right?
correct.
Yeah. Cena and Owens. Yeah.
Obviously, I don't see Cena and Owens losing, and obviously Sammy's going to be the fall guy. So I think that's going to start the friction that's going to lead to the ultimate demise of Sammy Uso. However, you know, we talked about how it's so important for a pro wrestler to be great in the ring, great on the mic. But the other big part of the puzzle is psychology.
Right.
Ring psychology is so important. It is just as important as any other aspect of a match, whether it be facial expressions, selling, little nuances and things that will tell a story without you even having to say a word. There's a moment where Roman embraces Sami Zayn after that heartfelt promo.
Yep.
And they're hugging. Yeah. And the way Roman looked into the camera, it just reminded me of like a mob boss.
Yeah.
That's like, you have no idea what's coming kind of thing.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, that look was like, uh-oh.
It was picture perfect. Like Roman couldn't have been better. That look, and then he said something like, you could read his lips, and he said something like, "You ain't gonna get past us," or something like that. I don't know, but it's just things like that. Like, you know, you have to have that. Jericho is very good at that.
And
you know,
look,
there's a
people
lot
could
of
say what they want about Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan had that.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know, it's like Bully Ray. I remember hearing him say this on Busted Open one day, and he says, you know, people could say what they want about, you know, John Cena having only 5 moves, or Hulk Hogan only having 5 moves, or Stone Cold only having 7 moves of this and that. You don't need to have the moves if you're good. Like, if you're great, you don't need more than 5 moves. Because it's the total package. It's not just about the 5 moves. If the fans get invested in what you're doing and what you're saying, you won already.
Yep.
They're going to look forward to those 4 or 5 moves and be satisfied. People came to see Hulk Hogan to Hulk up, see the big boot and the leg drop. He didn't need anything else.
Yeah, I mean, look, 90% of what got that match with Warrior over was the stare down at the beginning.
Yeah. Or you want to talk that? Rock Hogan.
Yeah. Oh,
they stood in the middle of that ring. They stood in the middle of that ring for almost 10 minutes, just staring at each other, looking at opposite parts of the crowd, going back the other way. The crowd told the whole fucking story. The roof flew off that fucking place, and nobody said a word. Those are the best goosebump promo moments you can get.
And then it carried over to the next night on Raw, where Hogan couldn't say a goddamn thing for 10 minutes because he was getting cheered.
Yeah. Which they were not expecting.
No.
Yeah, that was not the plan, but glad it worked out that way.
No. In my opinion, it was time to see the red and yellow again.
Yeah.
Oh, at that point, it definitely was. But this thing with Reigns, I know as you talk about it, you do want it to continue on, but you hope. My hope is that this doesn't just get blown through or skipped by or passed by quickly.
Like, what is the ultimate payoff for when this
right
ends?
That's kind of where I'm going with this, is like Sammy, with the way he's doing this, honestly, and I don't know if it's just because it's Sami Zayn or if it's because they have plans for The Rock or maybe they have plans for Cody, but wouldn't the logical thing in this story be Sami Zayn gets wrapped up with this group, gets caught up in the bloodline, they don't really buy into it first, and he proves himself, yada, yada, then they turn their back on him. The end of the story should be him being the one to beat Reigns.
I
for
think
one of
that's
those
actually
titles.
going to. I think that's actually going to happen.
He might even be a Final
Sometime
Four
in
in the Rumble.
2023, you are going to see Sami Zayn as a world champion. I really believe that. I don't know how the fuck they're going to get there, but I believe that. But I think
I know.
with Sami, I think the bloodline turns on him. I don't think he turns on the bloodline.
That's what I think. Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
agree. It's a lot like the way the Horsemen would kick somebody out.
Right.
Yeah. I think it might end up. You know what
They
might
did it
happen?
with Luger. They did it with Sting.
Oh yeah, I mean they did it with a lot of people. They just jumped them in or out, and I think maybe just because of Kevin Owens kind of appearing and popping in and out of this feud because he's Sammy's friend, and Sammy mentioned in that speech he's my best friend. Oh, he was my best friend. Whatever. Maybe it comes down to a triple threat.
He was my best friend, is what he said.
Yeah. So the triple threat thing. Maybe it comes down to Sammy, KO, and Reigns, and one or both of those titles are on the line, and Sammy wins it. Or Sammy needs backup because in a one-on-one, what if it is just straight up Sammy against Roman? The bloodline's going to interfere, so
And
Sammy needs backup.
And it's funny too because initially we were thinking that one of the end games was just that Sammy and Kevin were going to win the tag titles together, but I think Sammy is so much more over than that.
Well, I don't think anybody anticipated this. That's the thing. Like,
right, this wasn't supposed
and
to
for
happen.
the record, I think if they put Sammy and Owens together, it would be just as over as Sammy being on his own. Just for the record,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
I think what's important, and would you guys agree that when this ultimately comes to fruition and Sammy is out, that the bloodline should still continue for quite a while?
Oh yeah, I don't think him.
Absolutely, the bloodline should stay together as long as possible.
I mean, there's rumors about. Well, I hope not, like Manu coming back, but there's the possibility of there's another of one of Alpha's sons or something, and then there's who knows if Jacob Fatu ends up out of MLW.
I think they're going to just continue to grow the bloodline. They're just going to continue to grow it.
And we still don't know.
That's what they're going to do.
We have a pretty good idea about Sasha Banks, but we have no idea what Naomi's going to do. And she's married to Jimmy Uso, so
I mean, I've been saying, I don't know how long I've been saying they need to just put Naomi in the bloodline. It makes the most sense.
I know.
She really is part of the bloodline. At this point, it is what it is. She is an Uso.
Yeah, and it never made sense that they distance her from it. And they kind of do that a lot. And I know you don't always want to pair up husbands and wives on TV and just make it a thing. But in this case, where it's literally about your family and you're not including your wife, seems kind of shitty.
And now, and now it's time. And besides, we're past the whole Dance Dance Revolution, Naomi. You know what I mean? That was great for the time it was, but we're past that now, and it's time for the bloodline.
Oh, it's great. I love everything about it. I mean, they're just it's great. I just hope they continue. So you had the Usos were already out there, right? Because they opened up the show, so they wound up having a tag title match. So you had the Usos versus Top Dollar and Hit Row. Much better showing. Top Dollar didn't try and leap over the rope. Top Dollar did take the fall though, so that might be a little since gotta
do
happened.
it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But other than that, it was a good match.
And you know what? When they were gone, I forgot how big the dude is.
Top Dollar's a big man.
Yeah, he's
which is what's attracting. But that's what makes him attractive. Same thing as like a Keith Lee. The fact that they're big is what makes them attractions, because some of the shit that they do, they should not be able to do. So it makes it interesting. But you move on. Now, you had a 6-women battle gauntlet to challenge Ronda Rousey. So the gauntlet was, I think it started with Xia Li and Knox. It was good. Xia Li took out Tegan Knox. The next one to come out was what's her face? It's all about me. What's her name?
Emma?
Yeah, thank you. Emma comes out.
Yeah.
She gets taken out by Xia Li. Then Rodriguez comes out. She takes out Xia Li. Then Liv Morgan comes out, and then what's her face? Sonya comes out, and ultimately, actually, who won the fucking match? I don't even remember. Was it
Raquel.
it Deville? It was Raquel.
Yeah,
that's right.
She ended up
Yeah.
beating Shayna. Shayna came out and beat the shit out of her for a bit.
Yes, yeah. Shayna, I don't know. We always kind of go over this with Shayna. We're like, she's so good. Why isn't she like doing more?
I keep saying she should have beat Becky for the title 2 years ago at WrestleMania.
She could have, and she's legit. And then you have a built-in storyline with her and Ronda. I don't know. It just seems like they could be doing more.
I see at the very least two, future women's tag team champions with those two. Once Ronda loses the belt. Unless it leads to Ronda losing her belt to Shayna at Mania.
Yeah, but I don't know if they ever saw Shayna. I don't think WWE perceives Shayna as a Mania winner of a championship. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like they have that kind of
I guess not, because she doesn't. While she's better than Ronda in certain things, Ronda has more of the star power.
Right. I think that's the story of their careers too. They were both talented in their and competed in the UFC, but Ronda was always the bigger star.
But at the same time, Shayna blows the other two away.
I think she's a better wrestler by a long stretch, like pro wrestler. Win or loss record in legitimate sporting contests, whatever. But like when you're talking about pro wrestling, Shayna Baszler's been doing it longer than the other MMA
I think you're
horsewomen.
right, though. Ultimately, it's about the story, the built-in story with Ronda. That they've got something for quite a number of years while they're both still there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shit. What else was on the docket from SmackDown?
So the next thing you had, Bray Wyatt addresses LA Knight and Uncle Howdy. He comes out and cuts a promo, and then he goes into a trance, almost like Alexa Bliss does, and freaks out on the camera guy and gives him a mandible claw. And then he just like was in this trancy stare, and then it went to commercial. So that was kind of creepy, but it's.
It reminds me of JR interviewing Mankind.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So there's a little bit of movement, on this whole Bray Wyatt thing, in terms of, he's wrestling now.
But the fact that we got like a physical presence of an Uncle Howdy, like what was it, last week or the week before,
Yeah. It's a different person, so we know it now. It's a different person.
And then they keep dropping the hints with Alexa now, and
Yeah, that's another one that they've been slowly,
I think there's going to be a huge payoff with Bray Wyatt at the Rumble somehow. I don't know exactly what.
Right.
But something.
No, I think so. I think there has to be. Like, I think that's if there's going to be a big moment on that. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you guys hearing anything about a blackout match?
Yes,
I don't know
Mountain
exactly
Dew.
what that is.
It's a Mountain Dew blackout is a soda flavor, and Mountain Dew is sponsoring the match, but they haven't announced who's in it or what the rules are.
It makes it sound like it's like some kind of empty arena type thing.
It also sounds like you remember when KFC, they were advertising a KFC Battle Royal, and it turns out it was something that they pre-taped and edited together and then put together as like basically a long commercial.
Oh, and like everyone was Colonel Sanders.
Right, everyone was Colonel Sanders, and Dolph Ziggler thought he won, and then Ric Flair came in and snuck up behind him and threw him over and won. There was like a whole So I think it's gonna. To me, it sounds like it might be a pre-taped thing like that, where it's going to be. It might even be based on what you're saying. It could be an empty arena match, like with Goofy, the same kind of stuff they did during the Super Bowl empty arena match with Rock and Mankind, like goofy stuff, and then just advertise Mountain Dew soda during the thing.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, if it's a blackout match, how do you wrestle in the dark and how does anyone see it? And then I feel like, well, maybe that's something they would do with
The
Bray Wyatt.
definition of a dark match.
But,
Yeah.
but that would then, a good thing for Bray Wyatt if you're going to have other beings, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I feel like that's just a little over the top. I don't know that that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if it's a sponsored match, I feel like it's not going to be a big name. Like, you can't have Roman Reigns in a Mountain Dew kickstart fucking,
Yeah, I mean,
super
look,
extreme sour match or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, at least with Rock Mankind, they fucking advertised that for a long time. They didn't,
Yeah.
just throw it together as and it was the fucking main event, besides
That's why I think it's going to be
before the Rumble.
pre-taped.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Could
I
be
think it
like
was
a Hollywood backlot brawl type of thing,
Yeah, it could be something like that. Like I think I'm leaning towards it being a pre-taped segment rather than a live match. But they did do that match one time where people were sitting ringside for like a Viking Raiders match and they were eating KFC at a table. So who knows? Maybe they'll have people sitting there drinking fucking Mountain Dew while they wrestle the match.
I remember Vince and Lawler playing fucking karate fighters during a thing,
They had a karate fighters tournament, dude.
Yeah.
They had a whole tournament. And I think Sonny beat Jerry Lawler in one of them because she I don't know, she showed him her titties or some weird whatever, 90s Raw thing.
And mind you, that's before he used to say puppies. So
It was well before puppies for sure. No, they had something. There was some dance that her and Sable did that they were big on, whatever the word was, and Vince kept repeating it. But anyway, we're getting off track, but I think it's a sponsored. It's a sponsored match by Mountain Dew. No rules yet, but I don't know. We'll see what
advertising for something in a wrestling thing it's been going on since the 80s, so
for sure.
I go pro.
Yeah.
In every arena. Maybe like Lex Luger eats it, so should you, or whatever. All right.
Oh my god, it was like banners everywhere. It was fucking crazy. So they had Rey Mysterio wrestling one of the Phantasmas, and then Cross got involved with Scarlett, and then that Rey wins. It was okay. So then they have a backstage segment with Emma and Scarlett, and Emma slaps the shit out of Scarlett, like really good slap. And then Cross pulls Scarlett back and kind of looks at Emma and goes, "You have no idea what you just did." And then that's how it ended. So I think something big between Emma and Scarlett's going to happen now, which means we're finally going to get Scarlett back in the ring, which is pretty cool.
That's exciting.
Scarlett can actually wrestle. She's not bad. I mean, from what I've seen, I've seen some videos of her at like indie shows and stuff. To me, she didn't appear. We'll have to see how she looks in the WWE ring, but
I haven't really seen her doing stuff like that since she gave Scott Steiner a lap dance in Impact.
I'm gonna have to find that.
I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah.
Only my sick mind would remember.
I didn't know about that at all, but you best believe I will by the end of the day. God bless YouTube. And then the finale of the SmackDown show was the Miracle on 34th Street fight, Ricochet and Braun Strowman versus Imperium, which actually was a great match. And it did end with Ricochet and Braun being victorious, and they sent everyone happy.
And then the mistletoe thing.
Yeah, then they did a mistletoe thing in the middle of the match between Ricochet and what's her face, the ring announcer, because they're really together anyways.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's cute.
Yeah,
I forgot
they're dating.
Name,
yeah, so that made sense. But it was a good show. I mean, it's SmackDown, so SmackDown really has been a home run show. I can't really say anything negative about SmackDown for the most part. I still wish we got a little more Bray, but
Right, that would be a complaint. But I know what they're doing. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Is they're only giving you little bits and pieces every week, and I guess if we want more, they're doing a good job at it. But like I don't know, there's a point where they're leaving breadcrumbs, and a point where it's like, come on, man, just give us a
Well,
little
listen,
bit. We need just a
I said
little
the
bit
same
more.
thing on Busted Open when I was talking to Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca. I said, listen, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the payoff. Unfortunately, with the elder regime, a lot of times you waited for that payoff and there either was none or it was very disappointing and a letdown. We have to just believe in this regime and believe that we're going to get the payoff that we've been waiting for, and it's going to be worth the wait.
Right, because we're in a new era,
Yeah. Oh, we definitely are in a new era. That's for damn sure. But it's just one of those things where I don't know. There is a fine balance between giving too much away and not giving enough away, and whatever. But
I want to dive into AEW for a second, specifically MJF, and
yeah,
I really think
I will never tell you not to talk about MJF.
And I really think, besides the fact that how awesome he is, I think this feud with Ricky Starks is really bringing the best out of Starks.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that was the whole idea of doing this in the first place, was to get
because he
Starks
wasn't
over.
gonna win. Like we kind of knew Ricky wasn't gonna win, but we wanted this to fans wanted this to be Ricky's kind of elevation.
The nice thing about this is that he didn't have to win. All he had to do was look believable and look like he's the real deal to get him over, and his time will come. This did exactly what it was designed to do. And
going over does not necessarily mean
AEW.
Getting over.
Right, exactly.
You can you can get over without going over. And that's what it accomplished. And I mean, look, I've had an eye on this guy since like 2-3 years ago when he was on NWA Power. And I was like, this guy's got something.
Oh yeah, no, it was amazing when he first came through on NWA. He had a lot of hype behind him and was like, wow, this guy's going to be something. But then, I don't know, the typical NWA stuff happened. Luckily, we got to a point where, unfortunately, NWA wasn't doing as well as it should have been. And they let a guy like Ricky walk. And, it benefited AEW greatly.
And I think the next death knell was what the whole thing that happened with Nick Aldis.
Oh yeah, oh god, we've never even delved into any of that shit.
Can we see him in WWE? I'd love it.
I mean, maybe it's so hard to say because I feel like he's one of those guys that's old enough to the point where like if he was gonna be in WWE, maybe he would have been there already.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's almost like a Bobby Roode type of thing where he's at that, he might rule NXT for a bit, and that's about it.
Right? Yeah, that would be unfortunate. So Bobby Roode, did he just have a surgery recently? I felt like I saw something about that.
He did. He had a big surgery. He's going to be out for, I think, 7 to 9 months.
Oh, wow.
But he should be able to make a return. So.
Well, that's good, but damn.
Yeah, and apparently from what I'm hearing, Big E is looking good. So
that's a relief.
Yeah, so it looks like we actually have a chance that he'll be coming back too, which would be cool.
Wow.
I still don't know how soon that would be. I'm okay with it taking as long as it needs. Of course, don't rush it, but
absolutely.
And then there's still Randy Orton. We don't really know exactly what.
Now they've downgraded it to we no longer have a timeline for his return, which is kind of concerning.
Well, either that or you're hearing his music at the Royal Rumble.
Could be
show up at the Rumble.
I forgot we're at Rumble season. That those kind of things don't.
Well, the John Cena thing at the 2008 Rumble was like, holy shit.
That's right. He came out at number 30. People shit themselves.
Yeah. Honestly, he came.
And then you had everyone like us and sitting there, oh shit, Cena's winning. As soon as you heard it,
I did. When I was watching that, there was a collective groan in the house I was watching it, but at the same time, it was still a cool moment, though.
Yeah, it was just one of
Oh,
those
yeah,
things
it's
where it's
very
also like,
cool.
oh shit, is
The
this
look
guy
on
coming
everyone's
back too
faces,
early?
especially like Triple H, his face was, it was awesome.
I will
Oh
tell you
yeah,
though, I am very excited. They did a great. I mean, they always do a great package, but the WWE put together one hell of a package, hyping up the return of John Cena for this Friday SmackDown to end the year, and to ensure that he wrestled at least once every year for the last 20 years, which is just unbelievable in itself. But
yeah,
you
that's
know,
pretty cool.
the package just reminds you of who John Cena is. For take out the wrestling, take out the celebrity, the wishes. I mean, this guy has
Yeah,
granted more wishes in history than anybody else in the world. In as far as I'm aware, I think like he
yeah,
broke
I
that
think so,
record now.
man.
So, and he does it even now. Like, does it when he's not
Yeah.
even John Cena, WWE. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
he's
And it's
just that
amazing
guy.
because Hogan had the record for like 20 years or something, and then Cena did it like twice that in like 5-6 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the strangest thing for sure.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I
And
That
mean,
he
I'm
was
it's
able to
and
do it
I'm
so
I'm
quickly.
I'm happy. I'm welcoming back John Cena. It's good to see him.
yeah, I'm actually kind of excited to see him. I think that he's not going to do much. I think if anything, Kevin Owens is going to take the brunt, and then Cena is going to do the comeback and do his signature
Right.
shit, and
Uh,
then that's how they're going to go home. But
Could we see a possible entry into the Royal Rumble for him?
I think
it's
that's always a possibility, man.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I said. Could you imagine if the final like 4 or 5, Austin and Cena and like Rock are all in there? Could you imagine?
That'd be wild. That'd be really wild if they
Be
actually were.
crazy.
And
Like,
Cody and Sami Zayn.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the contenders.
Yeah, there's I love it because it's we started saying how predictable wrestling has been becoming and this and that, and we're finally at a place now where it's not as predictable. Like we're actually sitting here trying to figure out which direction they're going to go because the way that they've been telling their stories and the way that they've been doing their builds, it's leaving avenues in numbers of directions where you don't know which lane they're going to choose.
Mm.
And or if there's one that we haven't even thought of yet, because that does happen, especially now, and that's what's exciting, So I'm excited for the Rumble this year. Last year's Rumble was just and Rumble is one of my
Yeah.
favorite pay-per-views of the year. I was a little disappointed, so I hope we get some real good surprises too, because you need that in a Rumble. I want to fucking hear Tatanka come out or some shit.
I know. That was I think that was the big criticism of some of the women's rumbles. Is like one year they were really good returns and surprises and stuff. I think like the first year, and then there was
The
like
first one.
diminishing returns. Right. Yeah, there was. So the first one was great, and then there have been a couple good women's rumbles, but then I don't know. There were a couple ones that were just like,
All right, so now here's a question, because this is actually something that I saw floating around social media, and I'm also hearing now that we may very well get a Forbidden Door entrant this year. I don't know
ooh,
men's or women's, but who do you think it would be?
I mean,
Well, I mean, for the men's, I had heard rumors about Minoru Suzuki, but I don't know if he's that known to the WWE audience.
that would be cool. Like, yeah, that would be a really cool.
It's
thing
definitely
for a
not
lot
going
of
to be
people.
somebody from AEW, right? We're in agreement
Oh,
there.
I wouldn't. No, I don't think so. I was thinking because he's retiring this year and because WWE is sending Nakamura over to wrestle him in Japan, that they would bring the Great Muta in.
That would be
Wow.
awesome.
That would be his one and only ever appearance in WWE ring.
And wouldn't I mean, what other opportunity are you going to have for a guy like that? You know, it would be.
Hey,
You know who they
he
should
turns
bring
her into
back?
a Hall of
You know
Fame
who they should.
induction.
This wouldn't be Forbidden Door, but you know who they should bring back for the Rumble? Fucking
Who's that?
Tajiri.
Oh yeah, Tajiri.
I
Oh,
love Tajiri.
I always loved him. Yeah.
Always big. He always got a good reaction too. He's one of those guys. I know he's older now, but like, I don't know. You keep him around.
And I know this guy is off camera and not wrestling, but isn't William Regal expected to be back at the beginning of January?
So here's the
Yeah.
deal. From what I understand, the agreement is he can leave and start working for WWE immediately, but he is not allowed to appear on television for, I think, a year. So he's not going to be coming out doing like a GM role or anything like that. But I think the year is up around the time of War Games.
Yes.
So at least maybe he can come out and do his War Games thing and then start incorporating him in.
Right, that's potential. Yeah, as far as I know, it was a year. Yeah,
And from what I understand, he's supposed to be in some kind of vice president spot, but they've not said what exactly.
right.
I'm happy for him. I'm really happy that Triple H brought him back. I don't know
And it
exactly.
makes sense if it's a vice president position. It makes a lot of sense. You know, if it was like, I don't know, I feel like if it was something a little less less important, Tony Khan wouldn't have been as okay with doing it. But seeing as how it would be, it's not that they wanted him back necessarily as a character. They wanted him back as a you know, I think Tony Khan understands. Hey, if you become a vice president, that's a you know, you're set for life. Like that's a big deal.
And Regal's got so much knowledge of the business. It
Yeah.
only makes sense.
So that's a good. I think vice president's a great spot for that guy to land after all, you know, all the ups and downs of the guy's career and
you know, and
drugs and almost being fired and whatever.
honestly, credit to AEW too, because I think they wrote him off very well too in that storyline.
Yeah, and it, you know, it got
added more leverage to MJF, you know, for as a heel, and you know.
Yeah, and I know there was probably supposed to be more of that with MJF and Regal together, but you know, it was still, you know, I agree. I think, you know, MJF using Regal to turn on Moxley and then turning on Regal is such an MJF thing to do.
Yeah, and
so
without a question,
right. That's why it all, you know, it ended up that ended up working out as shitty as it is that they had to, you know, that he's not there to finish out the story.
Right.
You know,
that's like
the way they did it was good
for me. Go do this hit for me so I win, and then the next night kill the guy that did the hit for you.
Right.
You know. Yeah. That's perfect for MJF right now. It's absolutely perfect.
And are we is it just me, or is there a big tease on Moxley turning heel? Like this whole thing with Paige going on.
Oh yeah, I mean he could. I mean, I guess he'd probably have to be by default almost especially against Paige, because I don't think people are going to boo Paige.
I don't know. People are going to still like.
I feel like
Mox really isn't face right now either. He's kind of like, you know, he's like a heel that everyone loves kind of thing, like in Austin.
He's his own thing, right?
And you know what's weird? And you know what's funny is that they kind of still have remnants of Regal around, where they're still calling this group the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, they still are, which is I think is interesting.
And Bryan Danielson did that whole promo on Regal, you know.
Mm.
Speaking of which, Danielson versus MJF is going to be a banger.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, it's only his second title defense. Obviously, Danielson is not going to beat him. But how are they going to, like, it can't just be, oh, he uses a low blow, he uses the ring. Like, they're going to have to get a little bit more creative. They're really going to have to get more creative with the way he cheats, or he's going to have to, like, legitimately beat some of these guys clean.
Because I don't think MJF is going to have a short run.
No, he's gonna carry the belt for. I mean, he's not going to be Roman Reigns' length, but he's going to have the belt for a while.
Yeah, I think that I definitely think so. I think he's set up for I don't want to say a full year, but I mean maybe.
I don't know. It's possible.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be long.
That would be a good way to build somebody up in that time.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to if he's the reason that asses are in the seats, and right now, he's part of the reason.
Do you think they'd ever revisit him and Wardlow?
Ooh,
absolutely.
Because Wardlow's got the thing with somebody, but that's going to end at some point.
Yeah, I think they have to. They can't go to it right away because again, his reign is so new.
Yeah.
If Wardlow was the first or second defense, you'd go, oh, well, Wardlow's going to lose. Like, at least if it's a couple months down the line, you're like, okay, Wardlow's, ready for him or been trained. It's been 3 months. It's been 6 months. Maybe MJF can lose. But right out of the gate, the first couple defenses, you already know.
I mean, I wouldn't even start that build until like September.
It's true.
AEW's in good shape because there's a lot of directions for a lot of their players right now.
And
I love what they're doing with Ring of Honor and everything else. It's all working. It's all working right now. It's exciting to watch. It is every week. Every week you want to tune in and see what's going to happen now.
And
I know. I agree.
We have, what's it called? Claudio won back the ROH title from Jericho. You have, speaking of Jericho, that like he 1, 2, 3 kidded Andretti,
Yeah, that was great
in that match. And then you have, and I shout out to my girl Athena for winning the Ring of Honor Women's Championship.
Yo, Athena's on a roll, man.
Turning heel was a good move for her.
Yeah, I think so.
And then didn't Wheeler Yuta win back a title too?
Yeah, Wheeler Yuta in a great match. He beat Daniel Garcia for the
Right.
Pure Championship.
Right, that's right.
And those guys are great. Those two are primed and ready to be the future.
And I'll tell you what, because like that whole thing with Jericho as the Ocho, like I mean Jericho's. We talked about this last week or a week before. That Jericho is such an amazing person that he keeps changing with the times and does all this stuff. I mean, I'd be on for like if he wanted to have a campaign to be the Nueve.
Yeah. But the Ocho, the Ocho was, the whole dodgeball movie thing. ESPN 8, the Ocho and all that.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah. So I love that he did that, but I know there's going to be a point where, and it might come soon because of this feud with Ricky Starks, Jericho's going to switch it up again. We don't know what it's going to, I don't know what it's going to be, but I feel like he's going to switch it up again.
It's going to be very interesting to see. That's why it keeps it exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the top of the hour.
Oh, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wow. Oof, that one blew by again.
This is a good goddamn show.
For sure. Yeah, give us a follow at TagMeADate on social media.
You guys see all my autographs back in the background there?
Nice. Very cool. Follow us at TagMeADate. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. It's TagMeADate, all one word. TagMeADate, no spaces. Yeah, go to the YouTube and hit subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when we go live. We go live at 6 p.m. Eastern time every Tuesday. When we go live, we're up on YouTube. We're up on Twitch, twitch.tv/War Report. That's another all one word, WARREPORT. You can catch us on live streaming, not just on YouTube and Twitch, but also on Twitter and Periscope. We're on Facebook live streaming. And if you're connected to Steve on LinkedIn, you can also see it on his LinkedIn. So we're all over the internet. We're live streaming. You can go back and check the YouTube channel and the Twitch for prior shows if you've missed them. Or if you prefer an audio version of the show instead of a video version, you can head over to your favorite podcast app, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. Type in either the War Report or TagMeADate, and you should see our podcast pop up. Just make sure if you type in the War Report, there are 2 different podcasts called the War Report that talk about wrestling. Our graphic, the icon, and then the description in the thing when you tap on it, it's gonna say TagMeADate. It's gonna say Steve or Vince or somebody. You'll know it's us when you go to click on it. So just subscribe and then exactly. Even though there's another show with our name, but when you subscribe the audio version within the hour of us going off air, so between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern time, Ryan usually grabs the audio and uploads it, so it'll go right to your phone. All you got to do is subscribe on the podcast app. And other than that, just tell your friends, man. we love having people drop in the comments. Like Tara comes in with comments every so often and questions. We usually have Kevin in here and a couple other people, so throwing in their comments. And the more the merrier. If you're listening to the podcast and you have a friend that loves wrestling and they want to know more about it, tell them to come here, give us a listen, man. Otherwise, we'll be right back here Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. on Eastern Time for another edition of the War Report. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We will see you in the new year.